I'm live, man. Here I am. Checking my pulse. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I'm alive. All right, everyone. Okay, so as the title dictates, I will be having a special guest tonight in Miss Cav, who is yet to show, and she is having phone issues. So there might be times when it's interrupted when her phone lets go. But anyway, she will be my special guest tonight, and we are discussing the Delphi murders. In the same way that myself and Incognito did last week, her and I will be doing the same. So kick back, man, sit down, grab your favorite vice, and let's get ready to roll. Firstly, I wanted to begin with, it's been a hard week here. Real bad week. In fact, I lost my internet 2 days ago. Just got it back 2 hours ago. So it's been a challenge. What's been down, and need I go on? But then I do have some good news. I found another picture this week of Thomas Bruce beforehand, and it's a good picture. You know, it was found online, so to speak. I mean, I found it online, but it was through other means. I had to cut his face out so that the other people that were in the photo are not in the photo at this time. That way I can just compare the face. But anyway, let's see, where else did I need to go with that? The poll's ready. I guess I am just waiting for Miss Cab to arrive. And if you look at my shirt, and maybe it's just me, let me do a little bit of this, man. I mean, to me, it looks like I'm trying to hypnotize with my shirt, like I'm some kind of cuttlefish, you know? Yeah. Me. Wow, I ain't seen you in a long time. Chad, Frank Sylvans, man. You have a question? You know what? Right now would be the prime time, Frank. Because I don't have a sub here. I feel very alone. Yes, I understood the first time, Frank. Please ask your question. Hey, there's Incognito. Right on. Yes. Incognito. Wings, what's up, man? Okay, everybody's settling in. We're still waiting for Miss Cab to arrive, but she'll be here in a minute. And Alaska Blue, man, Alaska Blue ain't here, man. I'm hoping she didn't have to work tonight. I hope that every Tuesday evening, you know. Stephanie, Matt. Yeah, you know what? And I didn't get to say to you at the time, and I'm still not, but take it for how it is right now on here. That was a fantastic show. That was a fantastic show. And that's why your channel is going to be so big. You are going to go the full way. You'll see. Because you know what? You command a good following. You just do. I realized that long before. But yeah, man, I love your shows. I really do. Did you? Okay, you know what? If you ask again, Sylvan, without giving the question, I'm going to get a little pissy. Ask the question. MK. No, you know, I mean, seriously, because man, that was a great show. All right. Frank, dude, yeah, you know what? I believe it. Later, pal. Told you. Make another account. That's what, I mean, that's what MC does. He's got thousands of accounts. And you know what? He purposely wastes his time each week to make new accounts to come on here so I can instantly ban him and remove his comments. But damn it, just like clockwork, he's here every week. And I respect that for him because he's got that. I'm going to get up and go be ignorant. You know, he's born with that in him, man. He just is. Hello and welcome. I'm waiting for Miss Cav. And I'm hoping she didn't like take a nap or got called away, but she is having some phone issues on the trail cam. All right, man. And everybody, there she is. There she is, everybody. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Ms. Cap. This lady has been helping me for months, actually, now, and she has found some really great material. It's things that I normally wouldn't look into, you know, but she does. And then when she finds that and gives it to me, then I'm like, well, you know, that begs the question, you know. So she has been a fantastic help to me. And I'm sure that everybody, regular viewers of this show, know exactly who it is. Miss Cavalier. Ms. Cap,
good afternoon, evening, whichever it is.
It is evening here. Actually, afternoon. I haven't eaten
hot, balmy. It was 95 a couple hours ago in Denver, and it's now cooled off to 91.
Wow. So, yeah, a big temperature drop. You know what? Expect snow flurries overnight.
Yeah, probably. There'll be 8 inches of snow, and they'll be plowing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's kind of like Indiana weather. So, you know, we had talked earlier this week before my internet went out concerning the case. However, looking back over the last year and a half, we have discussed this case at every level, in every direction, in every way. So I feel that you are a source here on the case, and we want to hear what you got to say. Lay it on us.
Well, one of the most fantastic things that I think happened in the last 3 or 4 days was the photograph that you found and sent to me.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I thought, bingo. That is Bridge Guy.
Well, you know, I mean, when I first seen it, and it's because of where I got it at. It was in kind of small, and you could just barely see the guy to the left until you blew it up. You know, then when you look at it, you know, I mean, I was like, okay, that is clearly TV. That's him, no doubt, right there. That is him. So I actually copied the photo and sent it to you, and I think that you got that to incognito, if I'm correct.
Boy, that's a few days ago, and I've got millions of gallons of water under the bridge by now. But I could have, and I just don't remember it. And
well, if not, we'll get it to her right after.
Oh, I did give it to her.
Oh, okay. Well,
I make sure all of us have this important information.
Yeah.
But what bothered me so much about Thomas Bruce's mugshot versus Bridge Guy's highly pixelated, blended, whatever photo walking on the bridge was that, there's certain characteristics that you compare, and we can't really see his eyes.
Yeah, right.
We can't really see details on much of his face. But the nose. If you look at Thomas Bruce's nose in that new photograph that you discovered.
Let me pull that photo up here real quick.
Okay. That's part of a good plan.
Well, thank you. I kind of scripted this moment.
Well, you didn't send me the script.
Well, it was improv. We'd bring it up, boom, there it would be,
Yeah.
Just played right into it. Okay, now this here is the photo, or it is a part of the photo that we are speaking on
Exactly.
right here.
And it seems as though Thomas Bruce's nose didn't fit the bridge guy's video. But this photograph, and can you help me out and remind me what year that was taken?
I think that was September the 6th of 2015.
Okay. That's a little less, well, that's what, a year and 4 months
More than that.
to 17?
Yeah. It would be about a year and a half pre.
Okay.
September, October, November, December, January, February, March, February. Yeah, about a month, a year and a half before.
Well, people's features can change with weight loss, weight gain, different things like that.
Yeah.
But what strikes me about this photo is that the noses match.
Now, are you talking about to the video of Bridge Guy or the picture?
Yes.
Okay.
The
well,
picture from this with him in the St. Louis hat and Bridge Guy's noses match. You really can't change your nose and your ears with weight loss, weight gain, but you can change your facial features somewhat. And when I looked at that, I mean, the first thing when I looked at that, I just said, bingo, that's him. And that's one of the first things they look at. If we could see his eyes, that would be a good thing because eye measurements stay the same as well. And so does the length between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip. But we can't see that in that video. Noses do not change. And I believe that that's his nose in both of those photographs. Yeah, both of the photographs.
Okay.
The video walking on the bridge.
Let me pull that up real quick. This is the video of him walking on the bridge. You know what? Hold on here.
Well, we'll just work with all our inconsistencies and
see, man, why does it do that?
Technological failures on my end anyway. Did you remind folks that I'm having some phone issues?
I did.
Okay. Well, one of them, it'll be the final issue though, is if I throw the phone out the window and drive over it.
Well, yeah, that would pretty much end that. That would take care of that dramatically. But yeah, that's the new picture that we got. It is him, of course. And we do feel, of course, that is the same person as you see walking on the bridge here in Delphi.
You know, and I have looked at a lot of simulations. I have looked at people playing with the video until I'm just disgusted with it because you can change a video and manipulate it so it does look like anyone you want to. I felt really bad when they did it, so it appeared to be Ron Logan.
See you.
Pardon me?
Oh, I was just telling Trisha bye. I just banned her.
But I do believe.
I wanted to make sure she came back. Thumbs down. Thumbs down. Thumbs down.
Trolls, huh?
Nah. You just know by the first comment, and then you kind of watch and you go, "Yep, bye." That's how you do it. Now go ahead. Anyway, back to what you were saying, because I kind of want to keep this to the point rather than deviating.
And one of the measurements that facial recognition uses, other than eye spacing and the spacing between the nose and the mouth, is the length and the shape of the nose. And those two things, or those three things, never change. We can't do that with that video. It can't be
No.
done. But
In
but
fact,
the
I think
nose is
that the
his.
pixelations kind of make it impossible because you can't get a direct point from A to B. But you see where I'm at with kind of the pixelation thing in it to get a good degree of. You could if it was clear and it was distant, maybe, but I think it would be very hard with that pixelated.
Well, it was the last piece that fell into place for me. Um, I believe that Thomas Bruce left his house sometime early in the morning on the 13th, and he drove north. He decided that he was going to hunt, as I call it. He stopped at Delphi at the Monon High Bridge. I don't believe that he knew who he was going to kill, but I believe he waited. And the girls came along and he got him. And that's the way I think it happened. I think he came when he was seen by the witness walking the dogs. Now, I think it's important to remember that this lady had lived there how many years?
You know what? I don't really know how long she had lived there. I know that she was living there at the time, and she may had been moving at the time that she was spoken to by us because it was not that far after the fact where she's like, you know what, I'm out here. But she really could not discuss the case because we asked her concerning Daniel Nate. He was the prime person of interest at that time. And, actually, Greeno asked her that. But, it was when we was WKAT. And she told him, she's like, yeah, I can't answer anything. Nothing. Nada. But I'm just letting you know I am that lady. And that was cool of her. It was. It was.
Well,
She told us
she
that.
had lived there long enough. But did I understand correctly? And I've never asked who she was or any of the details. But I did understand that she was a longtime resident.
Well, I would believe so because that house was built back there and it was probably by her family. It's back that
Okay.
private drive. I mean, well, actually, it ain't even that. I think you got to go off of County Road 200 to get there.
Well, it's my firm belief that if he would have been someone local, she would have recognized him, as well as if, in fact, Flannel Shirt Guy did see him, he would have recognized him as being a local. He may not have known his name, but they would both have recognized him as someone that they've seen in town. There's only
You know,
2,600 people there.
I would say, just me, but I would say that anybody that frequents Monon High Bridge Trail, Flannel Shirt Guy has seen before. He may not know their name, but he'd seen them there. That's how often the Flannel Shirt Guy's at the trail. I think that he would know most recent people that, like just go through there and hike off. And he'd know them by sight. Like, oh, I've seen that person here before. See what I
No,
mean?
and that's correct. And, in my hometown, it's quite a few less. I guess it's about 600 people. But where I went to high school is a larger community. And I want to say 3 or 4,000. But where I lived in Alaska, it was about the same amount, 3,500. And when you saw somebody in town, you didn't always remember who they were, but you waved anyway because you recognized them. And common sense says that one of those two people would have known who that was or who they were related to or who they were living with or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
It's
agree. I would think more so. I mean, toward flannel shirt guy because he's at the trail. But then
ex-
again, I mean, the lady that lives on the far side, because you got the people that cross over that bridge, she had dogs. So you would suspect that she would have contact here and there with people that happen through often.
yes, and I firmly agree. And I think that the reason that he didn't hurt her is because she had the dogs with her.
Yeah. And well, I mean, and I agree, because one, you got dogs. Now that may not be because the dogs would attack, but you would have to do something with the dogs. But two, she came out of the house that was right there. Now you don't know who else is in the house, how quickly she's expected back, if they're going to go out looking for her and the dogs because they're back quicker than that. I mean, that would be things that would be in the suspect's mind. Like, should I do this? Or would they be out in the middle of it, looking for her?
Well, I think she was very fortunate.
Oh, I
Um,
agree.
whether
But
or
then
not,
again, there was no fortunate circumstances out there that day. So
no.
it was as determined by him that something was going to transpire. It did.
Well, and there's always a possibility, Michael, that she didn't, or he didn't, excuse me, he did not have a place that he had chosen to commit the crime yet. I
you
think
know
he arrived very shortly before they had contact, and he had not had the opportunity to walk down in the area of the ravine and say, "Hey, this is a good place. This is where I'm going to do it."
Yeah, and you know what? That really is a good point. And I'll tell you, because at the time that he was seen, and we would of course presuppose that he got there at roughly noon, as law enforcement had stated, that in a 15-minute walk that it would take from the place that he parked to it actually, man, it was to the bridge was 15 minutes. So crossing would take 22 to 23 minutes from his car to the south side of the bridge, putting him over there at roughly 12:22 p.m. Right?
Well,
Now he was seen at approximately 12:30. But then we got to think. I mean, like, okay, was he there to look for a shallow area? Or had he had already looked over that place and stalked it to a point where he already knew that where he was going? And
you know,
I kind of believe the former to the latter, because I think that he went over there to wait, but I think he went down to make sure no one was under the bridge as well. Because if somebody was down there fishing or whatnot solo, they would have caught all of it.
exactly.
So I think he
And
did go down on the south side and look around. He may have been scouting, like you say, for the location, but it just seems like having already been pre-selected that he had been there enough times to know that the far side was private property, but that was a shallow area. I don't know that though, and really both of those are in the air. I mean, did he have it scouted already, or did he go to the south side to scout? Now, if he had already had it scouted out, then he was at a set point. That's where he wanted to be when the victim showed up. Was about where she saw him at.
well, and I believe that you're correct. I think he came up. He didn't follow them over the bridge.
No,
I think
I'm on your side.
I think the girls would have, if they were as intuitive as what I believe, those girls would have run the minute they saw him. For whatever reason, they didn't let him get overly close before that video started. I think that video, if I remember correctly, was taken 60, 70 feet away. And by that, that's quite a distance still if you have somebody coming up behind you. I don't know I try to put myself in their place, and how close would I have let him get before my intuition kicked in? And I
Right.
don't know what that is,
Well,
but I believe
some
he
of
was
it,
on.
some of it could be determined on anything that he may have said up, up front, like when he first passed them. That really kind of gave them that, hey, this might be something, like bad. That then put that in their head to, so she can put it on video record. But we don't know what was said or anything like that. But we would think that it would be bad enough to really make her think, okay, this might be a bad dude. We want to get his voice on here for law enforcement.
Exactly. And I think he came up from the south end of the bridge, past them, walked, I don't know, 100 feet past them, and decided there's nobody coming towards them. I'm turning around.
Yeah,
And that's when he was in the serious prey mode, is what I call it.
yeah.
When he knew that he had him, there was nobody there, nobody around, and he turned around, and I believe he used a weapon, a gun, to get them down the hill. And I also believe law enforcement has quite a bit more, according to, I think it was Robert Ives on another podcast. I think that they know primarily his strategy that day once he was up towards the bridge, because I believe that there's quite a bit more on video. Yeah, video audio. And that's when he forced them down the hill. Now, whether one of the girls got away and tried to run, or both the girls got away and tried to run, and he got one of them and said, "Hey, if you don't get over here, I'm going to kill her," and continued on with it.
Well, here's the thing. Now we're looking at the distance from where the video was filmed at to where he was. Now they were at a distance from him on the track, correct? At that time.
Yes,
Now he had already turned and was heading toward them at that time.
I have no doubt of it.
Now, why couldn't they have ran then unless when he walked by him the first time he showed him, I have a gun and I will kill you? Now that would be enough for them to say, okay, hey, this guy might be real, and have that thing on you see where I'm at on video record, because he quickly turned around.
He could
In
have done
fact, he
that
may have
very well.
walked them out to that first platform and told them to stay there as he went forward, not allowing them a chance to take off running to the north, keeping them behind him. I mean, I'm not even speculating, but I'm just drawing out areas and means, because there had to have been that thought to them that, okay, one, we can't run, and two, this may be real bad.
Well,
So it
I'll
would
tell you,
kind of
I'm
be
not.
like they knew that if they tried to run, that he could hurt them.
Oh, definitely. But I think this man terrifies people, and he likes to see terror for as long as he can. And he very well could have done any of those things. But the fact of the matter is that when he said down the hill, the girls went. And whether or not they ran, they tried to fight. Once they got just across the creek and where the shoe was found, I think that he had total control by that time. And he caught the girls real fast. It probably made him very angry that they tried to get away. And that,
Well, yeah, but again, I don't really on the crime. I don't really want to touch into that.
and that's understandable. I just I
Well,
think he had
what I mean
control.
is there are some things, and I mean I understand what you're saying totally, but I mean I don't really want to kind of discuss into that really, because I mean we don't know what happened, and really we would just be kind of putting ourselves into that position. But I'd rather just not talk concerning that.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I do think that he had control when he went down the hill. I
Yeah,
think that the girls followed what he said, and I think afterwards he just got out as fast as he could. And I think what was the time estimate on the Catholic supply store? I kind of forgotten.
you know
Less
what?
than 30 minutes.
That's a good question. And if anybody out there wants to Google that and can get us that, man, I would be in some deep appreciation. I'm not really sure. I know it wasn't long, but I don't know the exact time. And that right there, and once again, is something that I should have looked up. I mean, that should have been a handy fact in my head, exactly how long that took.
Well, I think it was less than about 30 minutes. So whatever. I think he went.
Hello? Da, 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 da. She's having some. There she is. You with us? You're glitching out. Catherine, how you doing, man? Hey, Catherine. Hey, everybody. Hey, everyone. Okay, I got Ms. Cav as my special guest here today, and we are discussing the Delphi murders and doing a good job at it. We got our host here, Incognito Society. I don't see Crime Sleuth. I don't know where he's at. Aren't you a mod, Sterling? If not, no, you're not.
That Delphi wasn't his
Ah,
first.
there you are. Okay, we lost you
I'm
for
glad
the
the
last
Catholic
couple of
supply
minutes.
store was his last. I hope.
Hey,
And the lady, the 77-year-old lady who was sexually assaulted, certainly was very lucky that he didn't kill her, because he could have in
Miss
a
Cap,
matter of seconds, I believe.
Miss
But
Cap.
perhaps he didn't have the right weapon with him. And there was the
Oh,
fact that her husband was due home anytime.
can you hear me?
I had an incident rather recently where a young man did something that I didn't care for. And at my age, I was in shock. I was literally in shock that someone would do something like that and target an older, and according to you, elderly woman. I have to give you crap about that. Um, and I fully expect this kid to get better at it. And he has the potential to turn into a Thomas Bruce. I think Thomas Bruce has been doing this a long, long time. Years, in fact. And it's been real difficult tracking down some of those murders. Um, we're getting into some better databases, but there's still information out there that we can't get. But
Can you
I
hear
think
me?
he's refined, he's gotten better,
Can you hear me?
and
Crap.
how what his motive was behind getting caught and leaving a business card down there it escapes me at the moment. And I think, he could have wanted to. He knew that the gig was up,
I know.
but
I know she can't hear
this
me.
whole thing has just become a lot clearer since I saw that photograph since I compared the noses. And I wish people would stop trying to alter that video because it's not doing anyone any good. Do you agree?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Oh,
She knows. Ah, yes. Okay. She'll be back in just a minute, everybody. Okay. So in the meantime, yep, we have some, yeah, she's got it. She figured, there she is. Figure she figured it. Hey, you're back.
yeah, except I talked for about 3 minutes and now I can't remember what I said.
Well, you know what? That's kind of cool because people only heard half of it. Half the time, nothing was coming out on this side. That's when the glitch began.
I apologize.
No, don't. You didn't know, but I was like, hello, Ms. Cav, hey, can you hear me? Hello. I'm like, okay, people tell her she can't hear me. You know. So I'm glad you're back. You know, I mean, like once you seen it, because we was hearing you then. But once you
Okay.
realized that,
Well, I do think that Thomas Bruce is an organized killer. And I think that, he leaves the house the mornings he knows or that he expects to kill. He doesn't know exactly who he's going to kill, but I think he knows he's going to find somebody to kill. And
yeah,
he loves. Go ahead.
and on that makes me think of Evansdale because of the date, Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, he went out to do that. On a day of bad luck, superstition wise, he went out to go do that. Now, was that set up, as we kind of presupposed, like Delphi, as a date that he had kind of preordained? You know, because the loss of his job at Schnucks Grocer, did he already say to himself, I know a little trail up 380, up 381. I can go up there, wait, see if anything arises opportunity wise. Was that something that he had already preset into motion, or was he passing through and just happened to stop there? Because either of the two may or may not, as I believe the same as you, that he left St. Louis that morning and then headed back after he completed. Whether or not he really had a dinner date that evening is up for discussion. I'm saying the FBI could have pre-foretold her to say that, should anybody ask. That way they're not allowed into, the knowing that Thomas Bruce is the suspect and will have charges filed. Or was in both cases he going through and stopped, an opportunity arose at a bad time. Again, I mean, I'm to your side on Delphi. That's been my stance now for a long time. But at first it was that he was either coming or going from his brother's house and passing by. Now I think, okay, he left St. Louis, went there because it was the reverse date of Evansdale. But then on Evansdale, was he passing by and stopped, or was it predetermined that I'm going there to Evansdale to commit this crime?
Well, and it was kind of odd that when you and I first started chatting about this, I went up towards Evansdale and passed to see if there were any relatives of his up there. Mm-hmm. And what did I run into? A Thomas J. Bruce. And I thought, But it turns out that there are several, perhaps many Thomas J. Bruces that live all over the country. And
yeah, there's a lot of Thomas Bruces.
Yeah, and what you have to do is sort that out, see who his relatives are, see what their ages are, and if possible, are they related? Now, all the databases that you and I...
She'll be right back. Okay. So all the databases that we covered, you know what? We tried Nameless. Now, the only bad thing that I found with Nameless is that it will give you people that are missing, but not victims. If a person was killed, it's very hard to find. They could just have to be missing. But you have to put in the criteria that I knew and found this other picture. My sound is weird. Better? Hold on. How about now? Better? Okay. How about now? Better? Is it better now? Hello? Okay, you can hear me better now? Okay. All right. Good deal. Yay. So anyway, she is not back yet and still waiting. All right. Oh. Okay. So anywho, I found this other picture. Now it was the only other one that I had found then was made available on Google or Images, where you could go look into Thomas Bruce. So in so finding, I mean, while it was another picture, it was just added to what we already knew. I mean, we had lots of pictures of him, man, from long before, long after, when he's in shackles. And I agree, man. I mean, the mugshot, when you look at that in comparison to the first sketch that they had in Delphi, you can see that the eyes fit. That, it really does look like it was him, especially with the shape of the mustache and his goatee. Well, she is still not back. But in that picture, everybody else, because there was a wall to the front and everybody else's faces were shaded from the sun, but his was in the sun. That's the way it really stood out like that. But I agree. I mean, because in the bridge guy, in the video and in the pictures, you really can't make any determination about the face. It's just really hard. Now, in some areas you can in the video and in the photos of like some of the side, the hair on the side right here. Now, in the picture, in the first sketch, you could see scruff on the side of his face, just a little bit of hair. Now, whether that was true or not, because again, you're looking well after the fact. I mean, did he have scruff? He may have had. But now in the bridge guy picture, the mugshot of Thomas Bruce, his face was particularly thick, kind of, whereas in other pictures, it really ain't. In fact, he looked younger in the mugshot picture than he did in that picture taken 3 years beforehand. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Well, she's still not back yet. I hope it's not her phone. Well, the white thing on his jacket, I don't know. I found it online, but I really can't go into where I found that at. I found it, but it's available online somewhere. And I probably end up finding more than just that over the long run. But give me a couple days. My internet went out 2 days ago, got fixed this morning, a couple hours before showtime. But hey, wait, what's going on with the gremlins tonight? Okay, voice and picture is because I'm listening from UK. Maybe Leon, but I'm not committing to it. It could be wrong. Then what? I'd be wrong in front of people. Imagine my shame. Leon Craig. You know what? That's a good question. Do I? Because you know what? That's what me and Miss Cav was talking about earlier today. She was talking about, and she's back, and there she is. Thank you. Thanks for getting back. Can you hear me all right? Miss Cav? We was discussing the nose earlier, and she said that the nose is what sold her on it because of the video. She said because you can kind of tell by the nose. Now again, I'm thinking, because the nose is pixelated. Everything is that way you can't clearly see his face, but she was sold on that. And as soon as we can hear her, Ms. Cav, if you could come back, if you can hear me. Well, there is a reason. Because if, say, as an example, this right here is like this size, okay, and I'm holding it at a distance, you can tell what it is in its proper size. But if you took it at a distance and then blew it up, now you get the outside pixelations where they swell and it all kind of just melds together into a kind of a different color. Okay, can you hear me now? Still can't. We cannot hear you, Miss Cav. But that's how pixelations can do that, because it's not that it makes it bigger, but it's like it's the line, exactly where it ends kind of like spreads. It's like a smear rather than a straight sharp edge. And it could, and again, I've said that before, where it looks like there's a pipe down his leg, but it's the difference of where the sun's hitting the pants to where it shadows. It creates that smudge, that smear, Okay. We still can't hear you, but anyway, that is my best answer for that, because everything, including the hat that he's wearing, in some it looks like hair. It looks like he's got like where the part starts right there, and then the other it looks like a hat, and then in the one it looks like it's a flat brown shirt against these pants, and the other it looks like a fanny pack. It's really dependent upon the pixelations and how they shade in, as it can give like an image or like a like something solid being down these pants, or his nose being bigger than a little bit, because wherever that sun's hitting, it very much kind of pixelates around it. Just throwing that out there. But again, I can pull the video up and just give me a second, and you can kind of see on it in the same way. See how his nose right there kind of looks big, but it's the sun hitting it that makes it look that way. You can't really tell visible features. You can't, right there at the very end of it where it stops, there it looks like it's a part. Right there it's a hat. Down here, fanny pack, flat shirt, fanny pack. So pixelation does kind of play in on that quite a bit. I am hoping that Ms. Cab returns. It's the hope that I carry along. We'll see. Yeah, and I agree. It is. Joan, no. And I don't know why you would even say that. No, quite contrary. Okay, now we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, and I just want to share with everybody. I'm going to buy a metal shredder, shred this phone, and I'm going to send it to the CEO of Apple.
Yes.
Thank you. I
And
needed to
you know
say
what? You should do that, man. Like, and have him pay postage for it.
that. I don't think you can do that anymore with the post office.
I would demand it. I would, as king, I would decree it. Okay, don't push it. The king gets pissy. So anyway, we was talking about the pixelations and how that can make these nose, and I will play it again right here. Oh wait, I guess I got to add. There we go. All right,
No,
and I'm
it's
going to make this big here for a second, and I'm going to hang on. I hide that. Okay, now I'm going to play the. Well, crap, wrong one. Here we go, and let me back that up to here. Now, if you watch his face, you can see how the sun is hitting his nose, and it makes it look bigger and wider. That is the pixelation. Same with his face when he's turning it. Same with these pants right down here, right there. It looks like there's something that's in his pants, then it ain't. It's a wrinkle, and it's where the sun's hitting his pants in conjunction with the shadow of the sun. So that does help kind of pixelate that out quite a degree, and it can make things look bigger than what they are. Like as it's hitting half of his face, you don't have that defined line. It's a blur, and it creates like more mass, so to speak. There, more. You see where I'm at?
yes. One of the things, though, is if I remember correctly, the nose is awfully straight. There's no bumps, there's no delineations within that video. And if you look at the length of his nose, if he was tilted down, I believe that they're either close or they match. And that is, I wish we had a clearer view of his ear. I don't necessarily care about his eyes, his mouth, his beard, because that is too pixelated and it's too unclear and it's very susceptible to manipulation. And I don't care if I never see another manipulation of that video again. We're looking at a copy of what the law enforcement released.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I
not
believe it's more in
manipulated.
the copy.
Exactly.
I believe that it was purposely pixelated to look just like the pictures. Because if I went out and I had an identical camera as she did at the exact same distance, I took video, guess what? It would not look that pixelated. And I don't think that the original did, and they will never tell us that, but that is my suspicion that the original is got quite a sharper image than what did the photos they took from it, and then the video that they gave us after the fact of already knowing who it was. Don't think that they would have played that. I don't, and that's the FBI behind that, man. Federal, man. Corporate people.
Well, I know that there it there isn't a question in my mind now. You and I have talked about it. We have talked about, how I was 98% sure it was Thomas Bruce. And seeing that picture, seeing the nose or the rendition of the nose on the video, and seeing his nose in that photograph with the St. Louis hat on, I believe it's Thomas Bruce. I don't think it's Daniel Nation. His nose is bulbous on the end, nor any of the other suspects that have, appeared online. And I sure wish people would not bring in minors, kids, into this because I don't think that's a fair shot. And those have been so manipulated, and you have this preconceived notion when you're doing that, what you want it to turn out looking like, that I don't think that's helpful at all. I think it hurts people. I don't think there's a reason for it. That nose matches. He has about a perfect nose as far as noses go, and not many people do. So
Now
I
that
believe,
jacket right there, the Barracuda Mod Harrington Navy, that looks a lot like the coat that he's wearing. I can't say that it is, but in the information that St. Louis sent to Carroll County, that they put in the newspaper, they said he had a Carhartt style jacket, not a Carhartt jacket, but it was a Carhartt style blue jacket. Now this fits, but now a lady got a hold of me, and if you are watching, if you are viewing right now, I do apologize because this will happen anytime somebody sends something to me through email or telephone. I'm not going to remember your name or exactly where you're from. Sorry. But I think that she was from Boston, and she said out there that the Irish and Scottish like to wear those jackets with the hang on, let me go pull the picture up for that.
well, and you are correct. I mean, a lot of people have those jackets. I have a down jacket,
A
that
Kangol hat.
looks almost identical.
Now this is the Kangol, and she told me like when she crap. There it is. Now that's the Kangol. And she said that when she saw him walking, that's what she first thought that it was a Kangol hat. And when she sent me that picture, I said, you know what? It very well may have been. They said it was a flat cap that he was wearing down there, but they didn't show a picture. They just showed a picture of a flat cap, you know, and like a Carhartt style type jacket. But that could be the hat he was wearing. I don't know. But that was some good information, though, she sent me. And I appreciate that kind of information. Thank you. And if you are watching, I appreciate the living crap right out of it.
Yes, because that would make sense. He used Scottish reference in almost every email address that he had, and he had a lot of email addresses.
Yeah, he did. And now outside of the ones that were used for work, where it would be like Thomas Bruce, Thomas J. Bruce, 65, something like that. And most all of the personal emails that he had generally began with Scotsman.
Yes.
And again, that could be because he's Scottish and goes back to the Bruces, of which Robert the Bruce was once King of Scotland, maybe. It could be the Shriners, maybe. You know, it could be both, maybe. You know, the Scottish Rite. So, you know, we really don't know. But if it's the former, then it is a safe bet to say he was scared shitless when he heard about C.C. Moore, because he knew his family was in there and he'd be easier to trace than what was John D. Miller.
And I think you're absolutely correct. And I do know that the Indiana State Police Lab has handled that probably pretty exclusively, just because of the way the law is written. But I think they have very smart people that work for them, and it might take them a little longer than C.C. Moore, but I think that led right to him. And the totality of the evidence is just, there is nothing that is eliminating him.
I have found nothing to the point that I have found nothing, and everything relates directly to going back to a time now, quite a time. I mean, I already knew that the guy I was looking at was that guy. So I said, anything that pops up, any questions that there are concerning the suspect, I'm looking into, because I know it all fits. I know it's all there. And I know it's more than what you and I see in this, that there's much more to it. There's more murders, there's more rapes, there's more states. There's a lot more to this than what we're just discussing upon right now.
Well, and I think you're absolutely right. One of the things that we had planned when I leave from Denver to come up towards Indiana is to attend a hearing. And whether that's his divorce hearing, and I'm not sure we're going to be allowed in that, but his first hearing, as far as a preliminary hearing for his trial, is scheduled. No, I take that back. I don't think it is scheduled because of Corona. And he may be appearing on video. I don't know yet because I haven't seen what the St. Louis jail, what their policies are for this time. And the state may in fact be open, so he'll be in court. But I want to see this man. I don't want to see pictures of him. I don't want to see video. I want to see what his face looks like now. And I think it's going to be a little different, but that nose is going to be the same.
No, the nose will be the same.
Yeah. And
Hey,
I want to see how he reacts in court. And what's more, I want to walk up to the clerk and ask to see the file because they don't have all of the documents that have been filed, including, I don't believe, the arrest affidavit. But I think that's going to have to be in his file when he goes into his first preliminary hearing. And then that's where we're going to find out more information.
there he is. There's Sleuth.
I don't think it's going to tell us a whole bunch about Delphi, but I
You
do
know what?
believe
Some of it will. Some of it will. I mean, take as an example, the gun used get on Jamie Schmidt could be very telling of which handgun he had with him in Delphi. And it very, very well may be the same handgun that was used to create duress in the girls there if they was captured by those means.
Well, certainly, if he did not fire that gun in Delphi, there wouldn't be anything to compare it to. If he did, there might be if they found the slug.
Oh, they would have.
But my
Believe
guess
me, that would not have
is,
been unfound.
yeah. And he could have had a silencer on a 22.
Well, and again, because we don't know, but let me put it to you like this. When the media came out concerning Daniel Nations being a possible person of interest in Delphi, they said that there was, and I quote, similarities between his crimes and Delphi. Okay? The Delphi murders.
Now, he was caught with a 22 rifle. Is that correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Now, when you get to Thomas Bruce, there were similarities, they said, between the crimes. You see where I'm at? Now, I know he had a 22 pistol, so it makes
Yes.
me wonder if the 22 is not the similarity between Daniel Nations and Thomas Bruce, or if they're separate similarities. But if they're separate similarities, then what are they? You know, what would that be? What's the similarity between a crime? You've got a guy out here that's threatening people with a hatchet, but he's got a 22, but he's a felon, sexual offender, can't have a 22. Now, then you have Thomas Bruce, who may have had a 22, but it's still unknown that he had used. But, you know, it just, I don't know. It seems to me if I was out and I was going to have a pistol at my ready, would I have a 22? Hell no. I kill rabbits. You know, I kill like game animals with the 22. Shit, I'd want something like minimal 9mm, 35, something like that. So with some stopping power, you know.
Well,
But that,
there's a reason that murderers use a 22. And
well,
I
give me
know you know this.
I'll give you that, but I'm just saying, I mean, like, because I understand in Delphi, you want something small arm, but then again, that would be kind of presupposing that he already knew that the Catholic supply store was going to happen and carried a 22 there as well.
He may have. And
so that's what's up that, and the similarities may be the 22.
And you know, it's not that difficult. You can get instruction on the internet.
Correct.
To make a silencer from a mag light, and you can order the parts, and there's nothing illegal about ordering it all separate. What is illegal is if you are not a licensed federal firearms dealer and have the endorsement to construct a silencer. So, and or if you buy and sell silencers. But it wouldn't take, I don't know, it might take me several hours to put one together. But looking at the instructions, I believe I could do it. Did he have one? I don't know. But my what I would like to say is that I believe that he may have posed Jamie Schmidt at the Catholic supply store.
He may have.
And for whatever reason, law enforcement saw the likeness to what happened in Delphi.
Maybe.
And we won't know that until he goes to trial, if he goes to trial.
Oh, he'll go to trial. He'll go.
Well, I think
it's time, and time is not on my side, nor has it ever been, nor is it now.
But
it's going to be a wait for a long, 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 long time. Hello? Oh, shit. She's gone. Sorry. All right. So let me see. Let me get back to where I was at beforehand. And that's how pixelations can play in. Now, if I took a phone of the exact likeness that she had and was standing in the same place, and I could go from exactly where he was at. Hang on a second. I have to get rid of your comment there real quick. There we go. Same place where he was at on the tracks walking to the south, all the way down the tracks, all the way to back into the woods right there on the south side of the trail, going backwards. And see at which point that the video would become that pixelated, because it seems like it was purposely pixelated after they had given us the pictures. Now, the pictures were pixelated because I believed that they was blown up into, and they were pictures of a video, which would give you the pixelations. So I got to wonder, man, if I had a similar phone, what would be the recording distance that I could use on such a phone to get pixelation that bad in the first video of the video? Oh, let me scroll up and find it there, Incog. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I will find it. Okay, I'm not finding it. Incog. I'm sorry. If you could. Oh, okay. Well, I was sitting there searching. I'm like clicking up, going, man, it's a long ass time ago. All right. In which case, for the Catholic supply store, Charlie? Because I will have to look through the court thing down there and find out. And I kind of think that that would be somewhat to the hush. I don't think that they would want the signers of the affidavit. I don't think that they would want their names out for the public or the media to see at this time. But I could find, I could do what I can to find out. Okay, Miss Cav is back. Welcome back, Miss Cav.
Well, my last statement was, some of the things he may have done were disorganized. You know, he didn't think them through.
Mm-hmm.
And I used as an example Ted Bundy. When he got out of jail in Aspen, when he escaped, he stole a Cadillac, and it was close to being new. And what just drove me crazy is he didn't get out of town with it, first thing. He turned around and drove all the way through Aspen, as if to say, screw you, I did it.
You know what? That is a very good question. And in fact, I'm going to highlight that. Now, because he did, are you thinking that that was out of ego to be like, you know?
You know, it could have been, because at that point in time, he was the only one that knew he committed the crime. It would not surprise me if he drove right through downtown Delphi on the way out.
You know, I don't think that he would have.
I don't know.
I think that would have been overly ballsy. I don't think that he wanted any subtle way to get caught. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't, but I think that it would be more statistically rare that somebody would just be that blatant about it, you know, allowing people to see their face. I don't know, though. I mean, it would just kind of depend. Incognito would ask, the video clip shots seem to show a darker goatee or mustache. Your opinion on pixelation of that, or shadows in comparison to TV? You know, we was talking about that earlier today, and the other night, wasn't it? Because when I sent that to you, because in that his facial hair right here and his goatee are solid white. Now that's in 2015. Now when you look at, and I do believe that I pulled up like more recent pictures of him than that, where you can see reddish and brown in his goatee. And I will have to check that out. I will have to relook, and I'm trying to remain that open. But in that picture, that last one I got, that was of 2015. It's solid white. Now it has the sun on it, but I don't think it has into darker color than this here. But it does look like his facial hair is darker in the video than what his facial hair there would say.
Well, and you and I talked about that. And I think that, you know, as we've come into a new age of looking younger, that there may have been some hair and beard dye applied. And maybe he was just trying it. We won't know that until trial. And I'm assuming that the FBI knows it. And one of the things that, you know, of course, you and I have talked about is that his wife has filed for divorce.
Yeah.
And in Jefferson County. And she's probably about ready in another month or so. I don't quite understand why she didn't do what BTK's wife did and go into court and ask for an emergency divorce. And she did. Mrs. Rader,
Yeah,
was quite fast in asking for a divorce. I believe that Dennis signed over the house quite fast after he was arrested. And I believe that the judge sided with her when she was sued over supposedly knowing that he was a serial killer. And I don't think she knew. That woman was in shock.
no.
I don't think Diana Bruce had a clue.
I don't think that she had a clue. I mean, I don't think that I mean, would you stay married to somebody if you had a clue that they was doing something like that? Probably not. You would probably leave and require law enforcement to help. I mean, that's me though. I mean, again, I ain't there, but when you got a guy that keeps it that silent, that secret, that segmented from everything else, how's the wife to know? I mean, why say like, well, we would just know? Well, look, man, I mean, I can take you back to many of people that were just totally oblivious to it, yet it was going on right in front of them because, my God, they never entertained the thought that such could be happening.
No, and I think it's part of the psychological makeup of these mostly men who are serial killers. I think that they can compartmentalize and keep the bad guy in a box until he demands out. And when he demands out, he comes up with a viable reason that he is away from home, or he's on business or whatever, and it all seems normal. The only point where I begin to have some doubt is that if your husband's story doesn't quite match up to his statement for being gone, then women do.
He
And
was
I'm
fooling around.
pardon me?
He was fooling around.
Yeah. And that's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Well, yeah, but
It's
that's how a woman would see that, man. He's doing stuff. He ain't talking about it. He's fooling around. And again, I mean, I think that it's in a woman's mindset, the same as it would be for mine, because that's what I think. I say, hey, man, she's hiding stuff, man. She ain't being honest. You know what? She's fooling around. And that's
but
what
you
that's
don't
what I would think. And I would be looking for other times that they had lied. But it would never entertain my head that, hey, the person I married is out doing something like that. We think better of the way that we think about other people. Why would I fall in love with them? Why would if they felt that they were in that neighborhood of things? And I think that it came as a complete shock to Mrs. Bruce. That
well and
I,
part of the reason that that happens is characteristically serial killers are very charming and they're very manipulative. And if you remember what the neighbors said about Thomas Bruce,
I do.
oh, he was very protective of her,
Hmm?
and he was a very nice man. He'd stop and talk and,
Mhm.
looked absolutely normal.
Yep.
But nobody's ever written the book that serial killers look like monsters. And they don't.
They don't. And I agree. It's pretty rare. I mean, if you show me a serial killer, a person that went out and killed like more than and a bunch of people like that. Normally, when you see the picture, you can say, "Yeah, he looks a little off." See where I'm at? Ted Bundy, yeah, you know what? A little bit, yeah, but for the most part, no. BTK, not really. No, not really. He looked like an asshole, but he looks like the asshole over across the road. You know,
Yeah. And
Jeffrey Dahmer, or I mean, not Jeffrey Dahmer, but well, even Jeffrey Dahmer appeared pretty normal. I mean, he didn't look like he was doing that, like cannibalism and all that. Um, John Wayne Gacy, another one. I mean, there's always that when you look at him, you say, yeah, they might look a little off, but you would never suspect if you knew them, through here and there, that they were doing that. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh dear God, man, he had like 30 some people buried under his house." Well, hang on, she'll be back in a minute. Just give it a second. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thought is that, in a lot of times, I mean, if you look at a serial killer, a lot of times they're going to look a little off, but not always do you see the monster that they are because that is hidden. That very much is hidden.
well, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good, because I disconnected and connected right away. Um one of the
Oh,
studies that
yeah.
I go ahead.
Oh no, I was just given the Aladdin sign.
One of the studies that I wasn't looking for it, I accidentally ran across it. And there's a group of psychologists in the United Kingdom that is
Uh,
starting to look at eyes of killers
yeah.
and how they change color.
Ooh.
How they change color. And I didn't think this was possible. In fact, I had to read it twice.
No, it sounds like a mood ring.
Yeah, it sounds like a mood ring, only I think it might be. They started out looking at the various forms of depression, bipolar, manic depressives, things like that, and how their eyes do get darker when they're in a manic state. Now, I don't know, I have not heard, read, listened to anything like that with Thomas Bruce, but I believe in comparing those two photographs of him with the St. Louis hat on and his mugshot. His eyes look a different color to me. Now, that might explain why the witness couldn't certainly identify him as having blue eyes. And if I remember right, it was said that they were just dark, no color identifier there.
Yeah, she
And
said,
that,
um, I don't remember his eye color, but
mm-hmm,
I can say they were not blue. She goes, I
yeah.
know they weren't blue, but I can't tell you what color that they were. Now, I think his eyes, and I would really have to take a look. I don't think, I mean, I know they're not solid brown. They must be something toward a hazel eye, something along that. In fact, I'll just pull it up.
But see, in
Because
that
they're not
sample,
really brown, more toward brown, but I don't know.
and you know what's not up for review? Normally, you can find the stats, weight, height, eye color.
Hmm. Ah, man. I knew. I knew. I got a sense right before it went out. And I don't even believe in that. Well, I mean, the fact that you can see it before it happens. However, yeah. And again, that's what I told the investigator when he came to my door. I'm like, dude, look at me, man. Just look at me. Would you look at me? Do I look like Bridge Guy to you? Look at my eyes. I'm not Bridge Guy. You knew that when you turn around and seen me. So, and he was a Howard County investigator in the surrounding county that was investigating or helped to investigate at the time. He said, I agree with you. I do. But we can't clear you without a DNA sample. Haha. And that's when I knew they had DNA. And that's when I made a video. Exactly when he was pulling out of the driveway, I was firing up to make my video. That, yes, they do have DNA. They do have DNA of the suspect, and they came out with that shortly after because, I mean, everybody was kind of clued in. Everybody that they was talking to, everybody that had been turned in, they was asking for a DNA sample. Why? Because they got DNA. Welcome back, Ms. Cav. You was missed,
I'm sorry, I
and
moved a
we're
little
glad that you're
bit.
back.
I'm just going to
Yeah,
say
well,
my piece.
movement happens.
The city of Denver has really crappy internet reception. And if you move 2
Internet
feet,
reception? Yes.
yes. And I don't know if that's it, if it's my phone or an app that I have on this phone in order to do my job. Regardless, it's something. But
I'll tell you what,
um,
man. Maybe it's maybe it's because you're a mile high.
it could be. I don't know. Yesterday it was really overcast, and I could speak to everybody that I wanted to. But in this town, there's pockets that you can't get internet reception. And I know Apple's having a problem with their antennas, but that's all I want to say about that, because it'll make me mad and then I won't be able to think. No, I think it's very probable that law enforcement has gone in and scrubbed quite a bit of information off the internet regarding Thomas Bruce. And what information we do get, we have to look for in minute detail.
I agree. However, there does remain a fact. All of his social media accounts are still available to look to. And those right there give time clues right into times when he had internet and when he did not. Look at his Twitter account. It stops in November of 2016, picks back up again in April of 2017. That's when he was filing bankruptcy. That's when he was low on money.
And that very well could be. But for somebody who's been in the service, traveled all over, his TripAdvisor is still on there, or it was the last time I looked. And that's where I got a lot of the information about where he's traveled and the fact that he's somewhat connected to parks. He loves to go to parks. And is that because it's free? I don't know.
Well, and again, my take on the parks is this. I mean, if you look at Evansdale and Monon High Bridge Trail, both of them are small towns. Both of them had rather lax security. Neither of the places would they know him by face or name. Both of the trails were traveled, but not heavily, which would give him time to get a person out there. It just kind of adds up for that reason. Now, again, man, we could go back and look at Susan Collins. That as well was at a park. Coincidence? Maybe there are no coincidences. What about the dates? Maybe there's no coincidence. Maybe all of it does add up in the end. Maybe all of it don't. But in the end, I can guarantee you this with the double curtsy. From others, not me. I don't curtsy to anybody. I am the king. But in the end, it will be Thomas Bruce. It will be. It will be for Delphi. It will be for Evansdale. It will be for Mary Pryor. It will be for Ann Pates. And quite possibly, if Barry Scheck is correct, for the rape and murder of Susan Collins back in 1986.
Well, and I think you could, in my mind, Susan Collins is about a 70-30. I'm not real comfortable with the fact that he committed that crime. And we may know more about the brutality of Susan Collins because Smedley Alley.
It was brutal.
Yeah, it was a very brutal murder. And I'm going to avoid the details. But perhaps it's because we know those details that I think, I'm wondering how any human being could do something along those lines.
Okay, well, let me pose this question to you. If Thomas Bruce was at that base at that time, and it being in a park, would that change your mind? Because I'm going to say in the history of that fort, there had never been a rape and murder to that brutality that was committed right there in the park, ever.
And I agree with you until I read what John Douglas had to say about that murder. And I think the state of Tennessee is going to be forced to run that DNA. I wish they would have done it, but the judge in that case made absolutely the right decision according to the law, that the way it was written. And she would not have had a choice. It could have been appealed and it would have been overturned. She only had one choice, and that was to deny, because Allie's daughter did not have standing to even ask the court that question. And I would bet 100% that Barry Scheck knew that when he filed those documents. And now he's going to have to figure out another way, perhaps through federal court, to get that DNA run. And I'm surprised that he hasn't done that yet.
Well, I think I think it's a matter of time. I mean, he's doing this with the Innocence Project, and I
Yes.
believe that they already had that kind of how they were going to motivate to this crime. If this right here is a no-go, and we expect it to be, I kind of called that because I said, look, if it is, they're not going to hand over that money. And if they do, and it comes out now at this particular time, then they will halt all further executions, giving him stay of execution. Undesirable. This guy's got to die. This man must die. In Indiana, he must pay the price. In Michigan, he can't. In Iowa, he can't. This leaves Indiana. If it's California, he'll die before they ever pull the switch. I mean, he'll be out there that long. They
Oh,
still
yeah.
have Menendez brothers out there. Okay, the Night Stalker would still be out there, on death row. I mean, they keep you out there for life. So I got to wonder what it is they're going to pull out here. But if it's not death that they're going to shoot for in Indiana, you can get by with anything in this country and you will not die for it, because that's how bad this is. When a person can stop at Delphi and do something like that and not pay a price of capital murder, something's wrong.
Well, and you're right. My big concern about death penalty.
We're losing you. She probably can't hear me. Well, let's see. Where was I at? Where was I at? I forget what I was talking about now. Well, if you got a question, throw it up. Do that, and I'll get to them immediately. Oh, Miss Cav's back. Never mind. But still ask the questions. It's all cool. Are you there? Still can't hear you. Hello? Miss Cav? Hello? Okay. Yes, they would have, Stephanie. They got his fingerprints when they arrested him. They ran him right in when they printed him. And I believe that that was the match for the suggestive print in Delphi. Are you there, Miss Cav? We still cannot hear you. If you can hear me, you're not picking up. You're not coming in. And I do believe, Stephanie, that is why they contacted Carroll County as quickly as they did, because they did have a print match. It matched the unknown for Delphi, which also picked up on the two in Michigan. I believe that there was a lot of crime placements that was picked up from his fingerprints, because it was the first time that he was ever printed, and it ran into a legal database. And I believe that that's where they picked up on a lot of them. That's why the FBI was there immediately to get his DNA, so that they could match that directly back to the same crimes. Ms. Cav, are you there? We still cannot hear you, Ms. Cav. So, anyways, I believe that was the kickoff to Delphi. When they called, hey, we got a guy down here. He was dressed like Bridge Guy. He looks like your sketch. He had never committed a crime. He had no DNA or fingerprints in the database. And here's his photo. One, you can show this to the people that seen him, see if it's the same guy. But the fingerprints that we have match your unknowns that you put in to match too. So with that in mind, we think we have your guy, Delphi. And from that time onward, they knew. And that was before me, before I came out and said anything about it. Are you there, Miss Cav? Miss Cav? No, that's Ryan Kelly. He's the center for the Indianapolis Colts, Jerome. He's the center. He was our number 1 draft pick. Go back 3 years ago. Why didn't you know that, man? Why didn't you know that, Jerome? Jeez. There's too many Ryan Kellys. Way too many. First round draft, man. See? You heard it straight from. Do you know that his given name was going to be Elvis Cadillac Kelly? Anybody? Elvis Cadillac Kelly. That would have been a cool name. Instead, he got named Ryan. And now, though, he's the center for the Colts. No different than Left Hook Weaver. Except, I mean, he's not a center for the Colts. Anyway, let me get back to the conversation at hand. And again, where was the conversation at? Right. Now, when they called and they sent the mugshot of Thomas Jerome Bruce to the sheriff took it to the 2 people that I'm aware of that saw him, that I know saw him, and said, is this right here the guy that you saw that day? Now, if they both said, yes, that's the person I saw there that day, then what do? You got all this information from St. Louis. You got the 2 people that I know that seen him that said, yes, that's the guy that we seen. You take your DNA, your suspect DNA, you send it to Quantico to have it matched to the FBI's. Now, the FBI had already went and got his DNA, and they had it readily available to match to. That was a match. I'll lay money to it. Now we can hear you. How are you doing, Miss Cal?
You know,
see? Double king.
I'm just trying to be really nice so I can use this $1,100 phone for a paperweight.
Man, I'd use it as a skipping stone.
Well, I might. I'm going to have to find some water. Now, I think, we were going to talk about some of the psychological aspects of Thomas Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not, his sickness, illness, whatever you want to call it, was nature versus nurture. And we don't know a lot about Mr. Bruce's childhood. We know that he's been married twice.
However, we can kind of ascertain a little bit here. I mean, we can allow our minds to meander through what we know. As an example, if I am looking at a sadistic killer, a simple sadistic killer, of which I do believe in full faith that he is, Thomas Jerome Bruce is that man, he is a serial sadistic killer. Now, if you look at the psychology on them as to when that begins and it starts to develop in their head, it's at a very early age. Normally, not always, but normally it's on the mother's side. It's her control. It's her dishing out the punishment. She's the dominant person in the household. And it usually begins out of that. Now, we don't know that. But statistically looking at it, that would kind of prevail over anything else.
Well, I agree. And his mother, I believe, is still alive.
I believe that she is.
And you and I both agree that we don't want to cause his family any more grief than what they're experiencing with the knowledge that they have a son who has murdered.
One.
Or most likely has murdered. And
well, no, but what I mean by that is they may know in their head the other ones because they was questioned concerning. However, they do know that in the news right now at this point in time, it only stands as one person murder. But I bet they're going back in their head now. I bet they've already thought about California. I bet they've already thought about other places. I bet they was questioned about more than Delphi, Evansdale, Mary Pryor, and Page. I believe it goes deeper than that. And I believe that they know already that when this all comes forward, that's when that family, it's going to hit the fan. And they're not going to like it. And I understand that. I wouldn't want to be on that at all. However, I mean, those parts will come out. But again, I feel bad for his wife and family. Anybody that's related to him, my God, man. I mean, look, BTK. Same applies. You got a wife, kids going like, whoa, what? No. Can't be real, man. My dad ain't BTK.
Well, Ted Bundy had girlfriends, and Gary Ridgway was married 3 times, and his last wife thought he walked on water. And she was one, I read that she walked in and there was no bed in his house. And I guess there was no blankets, something odd. And he just said that he needed.
Baxter, the Jack Russell, welcome. Baxter, man. What's going on, dude? Shit, yeah, man. Everybody. Baxter, the Jack Russell, in the house. My house. The castle, if you will. That's what me and Wolf call it. Okay, well, back to where I was at. Now, he sends his DNA off, the suspect DNA off, prior to Christmas of 2018 to Quantico, FBI headquarters. I'm talking about Sheriff Lesby of Carroll County. Now, why would he do that about like 1 month after the time the FBI had gotten the DNA to test? Because he had already looked at it, the investigation, and said, yeah, we think you're holding our man's DNA. And they was. And they got that. And at that time, everything, aside of me, shut up about Thomas Bruce. But not me. Oh, no. Where I see fact and detail and I see answers toward, I hand it out like Monopoly money. I throw it to people. I say, here you go. Here it is on me, man. Drink up. Because the suspect is TJB. And now you know. Miss Cap's back. Let's see what she's got to say about this. Okay. The suspect is TJB. What you got to say about it?
Me?
Yes. The suspect is TJB. What do you got?
TJB. What have I got?
Yeah, what you got on it?
It's him.
It's him. Hands down. Certain.
Hands down. You betcha.
You know what? I say hands down. Wolf says pause. Tomato to the tomato. It is what it is, but it's still TJB. Ah, man, no, she's gone again. Crap. Hey, David Welsh. You know what? The greatest drummer out there now. Greatest drummer ever. Well, not ever. There's other people, but still, he's pretty damn good.
Well, I think
Miss Cav
is right on with that one. How do you think without mentioning any names at all, what do you think his brother's reactions were? Do you think that he tried to search back in time to think about, was he weird? Was he different? Did he do something crazy?
Did he show signs toward?
Yeah, any signs, symptoms, inclination.
Well, now I went back on his brother's Facebook account. And there was a lapse, I think, of a month and a half between posts from the time that he got arrested for the Catholic supply store sexual assault and homicide to the next time that he had posted. He was posting about once or twice a week prior to that. And then you had a month and a half after. And I think that was where everything stopped. And that's probably when he was being questioned by the FBI. Certainly for Mary Pryor and Ann Pates by Sheriff Swanson, I would think. So yeah, I think, I mean, that there was reason. Probably his other brothers and such did the same.
How old do you think he was when he committed? I think he started with sexual assaults.
Maybe.
Why do you say maybe?
Well, we don't know. I mean, he may have, but he could have started anywhere. I mean, what? We could say sexual assault because he was working toward, and that may be, but I haven't found them, so I can't really say yes, but I can say definitely maybe.
Well, he graduated in 1983 from Kersley High School
Yeah.
in near Flint or in Flint. And the problem with finding sexual assaults and murders in Flint
Oh,
is
hey,
because almost
Dave,
every
throw it up
night.
there if you would.
Pardon me?
Hang on a second. What is the name of your band, Dave? Okay, go ahead, Miss Cap.
Almost every night in Flint, Michigan, because I grew up not in town, about 10 or 11 miles west of town, somebody's killing somebody over something. And it got so bad that, my parents didn't allow me to even drive east towards Flint. I always
Ah. Anyway, I think that his band is like, God, man, what is it? Vendetta something. Man, if he wouldn't have left so quick, he would have told you his own self. But man, yeah, he's that he's that drummer that does. Anyways, see, man, I know everybody. I know everyone. I need to leave the house more often. Me and Wolf too. Come here, bear. You all right? Come here, little dude. Come here. Hey, people want to see you. People want to see Little Crown Prince if you don't mind. Get your ass. Okay, you know what? He's saying that for you. Yeah, he wants no part of it. So, anywho, that's how law enforcement knew before I did. I mean, they had all the evidence. They had everything laid out because it wasn't one person in there going over this, man. We're talking FBI, state of Indiana, Carroll County, all investigators, everyone on the task force, everyone involved. They knew hands down before anybody else. I mean, when they released it to the public that St. Louis had contacted Carroll County and everyone else involved was fully in the know at that time that, okay, we're missing the DNA, but right now we get the picture. We know that he's our guy. We got the fingerprint. We got the face. We got the scout. Everything is in line. Everything. And that's how they knew before I did. No, I don't think he did. I don't think that he did, Brian. I don't think that he did that. Unless you're talking about somebody else. Hello.
So I guess I got lost, and I was talking about the demographics in Flint and how easy it would have been for him to drive the 13 miles into Flint. And well, probably not that far. He went to school in Flint. And how old do you think he was when he committed his first assault, peeping Tom, whatever?
You know what? Most people, and it depends. I mean, but it really does between people because some of them will, like Pete, some of them will set up to do, some will fantasize, some will carry that, and it keeps growing, But normally it's in their 20s to 30s when they really set that forth. But I think with him, it was earlier. I mean, I would have to feel it was earlier. Because anybody that would do that to Mary Pryor, that person had a real issue. That person had some real bad things going on in their head.
Well, and she was 88.
Yeah, and I can't man, what would draw that out of somebody. That's just a bad person, literally.
I mean, she lived a long
Really?
time,
Oh,
and she was a very nice lady.
and a lot of people knew her.
Yes, and that happened in my hometown. And it's it's more sometimes it's more than you can think about when you know of someone. Now, I knew to wave and to say hi and all that because her house was kind of kitty corner from the grain elevator. And that was my summer job, is to drive wheat and soybeans to the elevator. And, they'd take the tractor and the wagon or whatever I had and lift up the front end, drop the grain, and I'd go down to, well, either the bar or the grocery store. Even when I was 8 years old, you could walk into a bar and get a soda. And that bar was right across the street from Mary Pryor's house.
Yeah.
And she was just known as a very nice, very loving old lady. And we used to trick or treat down that street. So I imagine that I trick or treated, and I don't remember, but just, nobody drew attention. She used to have a flower and gift shop, and her husband had died, and she had a dog. That's it. And I think her sisters have died, and she has nobody left to, remember her or to advocate for her murderers, justice for her murder. And that was particularly brutal.
That was
And
more particularly.
yeah,
That was evil. That was evil unleashed.
and some of that can be related right directly back to Susan Collins. But she was 88 years old.
Yeah. Well, hey, Ann
88.
Pace was 20, what, 3 or 24?
Yeah.
Uh,
And
Erica was like 9.
my
I mean,
guess is he
the
used the
guy just
same.
does not care.
Yeah. My guess is he used the same method to get in her front door that he did with the lady down in Jefferson County.
The
77-year-old.
old. Yep.
And what in the world? I mean, I can't even think in those terms. I cannot think in those terms that he did that to old ladies. And I mean old ladies.
Old ladies. Old.
And he must have enjoyed the terror. And I think those videos, that video that you showed us about kids eating vegetables.
Yeah.
He got off on the horror that he caused people. And I still don't understand it. Maybe I just don't accept it. I don't know. But there's a lot of these killers that look so normal until you learn what they've done.
Well, Thomas Bruce. Now, I can go pull up pictures, and in pretty much every single picture, he's going to look just like the guy that lives down the street. No different than. You listen to the people that knew him, great guy, friendly man, just a super individual. That's him. Man, I think they got the wrong guy. He's different. He's different. There's something about him that strikes me as a little different because he does. And they even said so when he went to court down in St. Louis. They're like, he comes off like a professor, a teacher. That's who he looks and sounds like. But that isn't who he is.
It's when I look at him, I do not see a minister, a pastor.
Yeah.
I don't,
Well, I could.
See, I don't. And
I could, because when I look at him, he looks no different than another pastor. I mean, there's nothing that separates or really shows, hey, this guy's a true and honest evil deed. It just doesn't stand out to me. In some pictures, he looks worse than in others, but in some pictures, he looks like that friendly guy, the preacher, and it does come off that way. And I could see, I mean, depending upon his, how he would deal with people in a personal sense, that people would be taken by that yes, that is who he is. Because I don't think the other side was ever openly demonstrated.
My grandparents in Michigan went to Calvary Baptist Church. It was the first church. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything. Go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just incidental feedback. My grandparents went to the Calvary Baptist Church, and it was a very kind church to attend, from what I remember. And I didn't attend every Sunday, but I can't put him in the position of pastor at. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. I'm getting feedback from somewhere. I don't know where. I can't put him in the position of that kind pastor that I used to listen to when I was very young with my grandparents, knowing what he did at Catholic Supply.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think serial killers just have everything so delineated that the evil part of them doesn't cross over, or if it does, he gets away from people until it comes back in line. So the kind person can be the primary person who is always out in public.
Now, on his Facebook, he had a photo where he kind of had more of a scowl, a little bit. And somebody made mention to that. He goes, or as my wife likes to put it, the Bruce scowl.
Yes.
So I would have to think that she noticed that. However, what's his scowl? Man, my husband's been drinking. He's a little angry. No big deal. Not that he's going to hurt anybody. I mean, and I would picture that as just being how that would be, within a family. I mean, hell, everybody that knew BTK said, yeah, he could be a real dick. Well, man, I'm sure his family said, yeah, he can be an asshole when he wants to be. So what? Man, if I was to walk outside right now, I could point at like 5 assholes if I had to. Finding an asshole is not the problem, but finding one that commits people murder the way he does, that's different. And that I don't think that people really was looking at. I don't think that they ever seen that. But again, that's me, and I'm not saying that that's true and honest because I don't know. But I think that it was very well hidden from people. I don't think that they really had a clue. And if anybody ever had a sense of, it was just a sense of. It was nothing that really stuck out.
Well, either that or he chose people that were salt of the earth, believed in God and had more of a strict belief in religion and weren't maybe as worldly. And perhaps he knew how to behave in public.
Well,
I've seen he on his TripAdvisor account, when you're on TripAdvisor, and I'm not. So if I'm wrong here, anybody point it out, because the impression that I have in part is that you criticize when you walk into a restaurant or go to a show or whatever you do, and you enter it on your TripAdvisor, you can critique the service, the food, and things like that. And what I did notice on the TripAdvisor when he was critiquing restaurants and cafes is that he was totally in tune with the waitress. He made some really odd comments about women. Are you there?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. And that could have been part of him that crossed over, because it would not be characteristic for a pastor type to make those kind of comments. But then again, he was in that bar before Catholic Supply, and he gave the bartender his card. That was not only stupid, it was just one of those things that doesn't fit. And maybe he did want to get caught. I don't know.
He was asking to be caught. And I think that it was all part of, I mean, I think that he knew he was going to go down. I think he was opting for cop suicide. I really do. I think that that's how he wanted to go out. At the end of a gun with cops, you know. I think that he had set that up so to be. I think he went in knowing. I do. I think that that's another reason he must have it too. If he lived, guess what? He got to see him in court again, relive it. Part of being that evil man, part of being the evil dude.
And he would see the families in court to see the aftermath of what he did.
Yep.
And possibly all get involved in it again. But they just stymie me. And the FBI has not studied serial killers in depth until about 1995, I believe, 85, 90, 95.
I would have been on it way before that.
There's been enough of them because they're well documented throughout history. It isn't a problem that just crept up in the 70s.
Exactly.
But we didn't have a lot of sophisticated technology to track these people. And I don't know if we had the type of person that could go in and find out what they have done and document it, because that would seem like an awfully dark job to do. I think that's come up recently, and I think the FBI are starting to combine a lot of their databases. Instead of having several, they're merging into one or two. And that's what surprised me, is that DNA is not just in one database. It is not. It's in CODIS, it's in VICAP, and there's just been, since 2012, I think, a real concerted effort for them to have all of the information in one computer. And that started out to be VICAP, and it's migrated over to CODIS. And people don't have time in small police departments or any police department unless there's one person who just enters that, because they not only want to know that how the murder was committed, they want 100 different pieces of information. So if they get another one, it'll link up. That takes a lot of man hours. But I'm hoping that happens a little faster now, because certainly we've had enough of them.
Well, Delphi has. It's a fact. Oh, crap, man.
But that's just the way it is. And I think, even analyzing, if he will sit down like Jeffrey Dahmer did, Gary Ridgway is doing it now, I believe. And I think I've mentioned this
BTK
before.
did.
Yeah, BTK was spoken in a way. He was too matter of fact.
Hold on.
It was damn near, he was trying to teach people. He was an instructor. And he had no emotion in his confession in court. And he was troubling to me. And he was a sick son of a gun because of what.
Ah. Well, yeah, it's probably going to be blurry because I had other things open. It'll clear up in a minute if I'm not really clear. It probably looks like Bridge Guy. So, anyways, Corduroy photo had said, but DNA collected for Delphi is not being shared for FBI. What do you mean for FBI? It's not being shared where? To whom? I mean, Carroll County sent their suspect DNA off to Quantico headquarters, FBI. So I'm not sure what your stance is. If you have further on that, just throw it up. I'll read it. Because I'm expecting this cab to be back. Just like that. So let's give her a minute and let's get back to where were we? Let me see. Going back minutes. Oh, there's Miss Cap. Don't worry. She's back.
Well,
Miss
what
Cap.
I was saying is.
Well, see, what she was fixing to say was, hang on. Well, yes, right. Now I'll give you that. I will give you that. In other words, if you are called in a tip to be investigated and they took your DNA, it would not be shared into the other database, but only toward the suspect DNA. And I would believe that that would be the correct way to do that, because if they was going to get my DNA, I don't want them to have my DNA, because I wouldn't know my DNA if I was urinating on it. I could say, hey, that looks like Wuss DNA. I mean, he's the crown prince. I'll give him that, but it's not my DNA. But what if they had my DNA? I mean, you see where I'm at? Look, I ain't no DNA analyst, man. I ain't a DNA expert. I don't know my DNA from somebody else's. I can't look at my DNA and make that. They got an expert up there to say that. And everybody in the jury is going to say, the expert said one in so many billions. It's him. I'm taking their word on that. That's my issue with DNA. Miss Cav, where was you at?
Well, and I think DNA, as far as DNA goes, most people have got a good understanding of what it is. And any expert that testifies in court now will make a real effort to explain why DNA is so dependable and why the chances of it being someone else is 1 in a trillion. And it's a rarity that a week goes by without a newspaper story, just like the Golden State Killer, that a cold case is not solved as a result of DNA comparisons, DNA genealogical reports, and that's what CC Moore does. And that is one woman that I am very impressed with. And there are a lot of others out there that don't have a degree in genealogy or DNA, but they've been doing it for so many years that it's like a second lifestyle to them. They know where to go, and sometimes they get stuck for a couple months, but they know how to do that. They're trained in it, they're good at it, and I'd love to see more of it, because I think there's 200,000 murders in the United States that are not solved. 200,000 people have been killed without somebody being brought to justice. And we all know 1 or 2 that, for whatever reason make the news, but there are a lot of murders out there that just don't get someone convicted into court, into jail. And that's a shame, because the rate of solution in the 60s was somewhere in the neighborhood between 85 and 90%. Nationwide, the average is 62.9% of a solution rate. That means almost 40% of the murders committed nationwide do not get solved. 40 people out of every 100 never have their killers brought to justice.
No.
Yeah, that's wrong.
No, man, I can't believe that, man. I believe
It
that
is.
murders are wrapped up in a bigger ratio than what other crime is. I'd have to
Nope.
believe.
I will send you the statistics
Well,
because I
then why do
read
they
them
have
again just
investigators?
yesterday.
What the hell are these people doing? They're not investigating. I mean, if you got people out there that are dying and it's unsolved at that magnitude, then yeah, I do question that. Like, what in the hell are you guys doing, man? You just busy pulling people over to get the easy money? That's me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I never am confused. Man, I stand on the side of non-confusion. And when I get confused, oh, shit. The kingdom breaks, man. I got to go.
Either there was a lot fewer murders in the 60s, which might account for something, or we have so many murders now that we don't have law enforcement personnel.
Everybody in the world's got a camera on them. Everybody in the world is GPS their exact coordinates. Everybody's car can be GPS. That's the magnitude. They got satellites. I mean, we've discussed this. It goes to every end. So why would there be this a big amount of murders that are just unsolved? I mean, you know, that bothers me because that says somebody ain't doing a fucking job. And believe me, when I become sheriff, people will do their job. People in Carroll County will walk around the king on tiptoes because he ain't having it. In fact, when I become sheriff of Carroll County, and I'll move there just for that reason, there won't be no murders in Carroll County. You have my word on it.
Well, there haven't probably been that many so far.
Well, that's why I stand on it.
Like Robert Ives said, usually it's over love, jealousy, or money.
Money. Yeah.
Yep. And, you know, those are pretty easy to figure out. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure those out. It takes a rocket scientist to prove them, but not to figure them out. And I think early on, at least after the second press conference that they had, as soon as Thomas Bruce committed these murders, I don't know, St. Louis did something weird. And they contacted everyone.
Man, Mystery Baker.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. I was just saying hi to Mystery Baker. She popped in.
Okay. No, I wanted to check.
Yep.
You know, Robert Ives said some real interesting things in a couple of interviews that he did. And he said that the murders that he was involved in prosecution over his 20-year career in Carroll County were always easy to figure out because it was small town, small motives.
Yeah.
And it didn't take him long to solve them. And the last one was a kid, I guess, killed his grandparents over money.
Yep.
And, you know, it didn't take them a day or two to get him arrested.
A couple days. There it was. That was the only time, I believe, aside of the Delphi murders, that they had a double homicide in Carroll County. And
that I don't know.
Tobe Lesenby brought that up because when I asked him about this, he goes, well, it is something that we're unfamiliar with. He goes, I mean, we did have one other, but it only took us a couple days. And he was a CO at the time. when that crime had occurred.
Yeah, he was working in the jail,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
yeah, he was CO, jailer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's usually they're really easy or real hard. But for this to go 3 years, and I understand why they're waiting. Um, they don't want a challenge in an appeals court by talking to Thomas Bruce too early. And as long as his public defender is going to stand between them, they're going to honor that because they need to really protect the integrity of the evidence. What I am surprised at is the lack of concern or conversation in Delphi that people have kind of thought, didn't they solve that?
Yeah,
Or, and
exactly.
maybe people think they did, and maybe chances are they have.
Well,
But
yeah, and again, I mean, I was talking to a person that lives here close to me, and that was kind of their thought as well. Like, yeah, I thought they caught the guy. I thought, remember he hatcheted him up, and I'm like, wow, what? I said, man, that's got to be like more local rumor, because really, I think if I was doing like street interviews over in Delphi, most people would, not most, but I would say there would be people that would be on that page. Oh yeah, they arrested him, man. That's been a while back. What was his name? Because that's how people do. People are interested in what's on the news right now. That they remember from way back. I mean, they think back and they go, "Oh yeah, I remember they got that guy. Man, they arrested him out in Colorado. Remember because he had hatcheted the girl." It becomes a mix of truth into rumor that become like, well, yeah, I thought they had the guy. It is what it is. But if I went into Kokomo and asked people, most people would go, didn't even hear about it. Didn't know anything about it. And it's just the next county over. Now, people in the UK, people in Ireland, people in the Middle East, people in Australia, they've heard of it. People in Russia heard of it. But like people in Kokomo, no. When that happened? Man, how come I didn't hear about it? Believe me, it's Indiana, man.
well, and that's kind of a characteristic of where they choose to live. People live in more rural areas, have a tendency to be busy, and they
Mhm.
don't listen to the news, and it doesn't directly affect them. So it's not who cares, it's just they're busy doing other things. But I would be very concerned at least a year ago, a year and a half ago, before Thomas Bruce was arrested, that it might be my neighbor. We don't know that it's not. And lock the doors, take the keys out of the car, and protect yourself. But I don't even know, after the first month or so, how much of that there was in Delphi.
There was
If
a
there
lot
were
of it from right here.
really,
Because, oh man, a month in, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Look, you got audio, you got video, you got all these tips, you got the FBI doing the CSI and helping with the investigation. What's going on? I mean, it wasn't until the first year press conference when I found out that the person had never committed a crime before. Believe me, that was news to me because it was like I told Trooper Riley, I'm like, well, I assumed on a crime of this nature that this person would have had priors. Well, sometimes, So, that was kind of mind blowing, and it really washed, of what we was thinking because we was in hope that there would be a suspect announcement, and there wasn't. But we could tell that before it got started by the way that they was setting up. We're like, yeah, it still involved that, but they did bring in the whole task force, so to speak. The FBI, the state, Doug Carter, Riley, all the local investigators, the sheriff, everybody was there. Every news reporter, like, first question goes to you, Raphael. That guy, he was there. Everybody was there. I was there. Do you know who I seen there? You're never going to believe this.
Who's that?
The Beatles were there.
The who?
The Beatles
Yeah.
were there.
You want to explain that?
No, not really. It's a way of saying everybody was there. Even the Beatles were there. Okay. The rock band, you know, number nine, you know, come on, the Beatles.
Okay. Now,
well, there's times when you just gotta go along.
That in Denver, I have seen, and this was the weirdest thing in my whole life. It's up there with the top 10. People dressed as clowns, just driving around. Now, I don't get that.
Hold on. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Katie Andrews has a question, and it reads as follows. Greetings from Indiana, the land of sky blue waters. I want to point that shit out. Honest question. If it is TV, why did law enforcement have the most recent news conference where they released the new sketch and said it's a local person? Would anybody like to address that question on behalf of me?
No, I think you need to explain that.
I don't think I do. I think
you really like
every video for a year and a half. For a year and a half. I would say look back at last week's when I answered it, or the week before. Look in the comments where I have like insulted people for asking me that question. Watch my whole video on answering that question. And remember that most people that ask that question, I refer back to my videos because, frankly put, I'm tired of answering that question. Tired of it like about a year and a half ago. Tired. I'm not going to do it anymore. I will not dedicate any further time to it, aside of halting the show to say, not answering that question anymore. Please go back in my videos. You'll find your answer. Thank you.
Let's just say it was a weird choice for law enforcement to make.
I don't think that it was. Allow me to go on. Okay. For this reason. Look at the amount of people that's phoned to tip in, man. It's over 60,000 people. You look at the population of all of Carroll County, man, woman, child, and even a few puppies, 20,000 people. It's not a local person. Once they knew who it was, but knew they couldn't go down and talk to him, that's why they made the press release. They did it to hand out old information, and to back up their old information, they handed out a new sketch and said, we don't want that old sketch. It's the new sketch we're looking for over here to throw people off. Did they lie? No, they didn't lie. What they did do was change it up so anybody calling in on that new direction, it would be deemed uninvestigatable because we already know who did it. So they ended the investigation by having that briefing. It was not a news conference. No questions were to be asked. None were. So that's why. That's exactly why. You can take my word for it. You can call me an idiot. You can leave and never come back. But in the end, you'll see that I stand 100% correct. Not that they're going to come out and tell you, but when it is TV, you got some splaining to do, not this guy.
Well, Michael, you just fell into the trap of answering the question.
No, I didn't. No, I ranted.
You didn't just answer it?
Ranted. There's a difference between answering and ranting. There you go.
That was a very polite rant from you.
Well, thank you. And you know what? It's all a part of being this new Michael Cat. This new easy, like a Sunday morning Michael Cat. The one that's easy to get along with. One that don't ridicule people. You know? The one that don't ban people for looking sideways. That Michael Cat. That's the Michael Cat that people want to hear from.
When did you decide to do this?
A couple minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hear any cuss words that time.
Have I even cussed? No. I've made this for children to view.
Well,
yeah. I'm gonna put that on there. I made this so that your kids could take it in. Yeah, now what? Got a problem now? Yeah, no.
I have no problems whatsoever when it comes to this murder, and that picture sealed the deal for
Hang
me.
on. We have a big deal here. 54 people are viewing this video, and we got 61 thumbs up. Oh, you guys, man. You know what? This is your show, man. I dedicate this show to viewers. So that means that you guys is dedicated right to you. From the land of sky blue waters. I pictured the little panda bear paddling the ham's canoe. But that's me. I'm different than others.
Well, you know,
Thank you, Incognito. Thank you very much. She'll be right back. So, anywho, and again, where was I? Beforehand, had to take it on my shows here. Oh, Ireland. See, there you go. Greetings from Ireland, man. Thanks for being here, Twilight Living, on the trail here. Ireland, everybody. And you know what? For anybody that's liking this video, sharing it, out to the masses. Rather than being selfish with this video, you should share it. You should get your family, friends, invite them over Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Show them. Let them know. Let them in on it. This guy knows. This guy knows who did it. And so is Miss Cab. Incognito, man. She knows.
what does Miss Incognito know?
Who did the Delphi murders?
Well, of course she knows. It's the only suspect, POI or whatever,
Yep.
that fits the evidence, and you can't twist the evidence
To fit the crime.
That's right. And I think I'm gonna never mind. I think I'm okay.
Okay.
But I think that, one of the things that they have to look at and that they're putting together now is every last minute of Thomas Bruce's life. I think they're going to know where he went, where he ate, and when he went to the bathroom before this is over. And you and I have talked about how they're going to approach him when they can. And I just hope that they take a very good interrogator with them.
They will have the best interrogator that they have to offer. They do not want to miss one little beat of what he's got to say. They want somebody in there that can draw this out of him. They will know him at a psychological level enough to say, these are the people that we want in there. These are the questions that we want to ask. This is the information that we require. And they will send the person in there to get that. And I believe it will be some of the best that they have available at the time. In fact, you know who I would send in? I would send Jose Navarro in.
Jose Navarro?
Yes, ma'am. He is the FBI expert on nonverbal communication. He can tell by what you're doing, how you say it, your facial expressions. He can tell what it is that you're saying, what you're lying about. He can tell all of that by, your foot tapping, touching, anything. He's got a book on it. It's called What Everybody is Saying. Check into it. Great book. Highly advised.
I wonder sometimes how these guys can be married knowing what they know and their wives not be upset because they'd be able to tell exactly what they were thinking before they even said it.
Yeah.
That would kind of take the fun out of an argument or a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And it would be bothering me to be married to somebody like that.
Do you remember that show? It only ran for a short time. It was in probably the early to mid 70s, and Sally Fields was in it. And she had ESP. You remember that? I think it
No,
was
and
the
I don't
woman
think
that
it
could
was the
read minds.
Flying Nun.
Yeah, it wasn't long after that, but I know she was married on the show, and like she could tell what her husband was thinking. That played into the plot all the time, and that's why it was short lived, because there's like, geez, it could be anything. She could read your mind. Come on, you know.
Well, and there's been takeoffs on that forever. But it would not be fun having somebody that could tell what you were thinking or what you were going to say before you even thought of saying it. And I believe that there are people that do that, but the
I
fact
do.
that they take all the fun out of the mystery of a relationship. But I guess we need those
Jose
kinds of
Navarro.
people.
There it is.
Jose Navarro, huh?
Look into it. I got the book. It's right here, man. Hang on, let me grab it. You'll like it. I mean, you're a speed reader, are you not?
Yes, but the fact of the matter is, Michael, since
This is
I
it right here.
got entangled with you, my reading list has
Everybody
gone from 1 to 50.
Ah, great book. Man.
You have my reading list long enough that I'll be in my 70s before I get it done.
Yeah, but think of what you'll know.
Yeah, well, where I'm going, I don't know how much good it's going to do me.
Where you going?
I'm not sure some days. Not even at all. But it's,
That's right. He did. He read it. And you know what? Today, he is 20 times the poker player that he was before he read that book. Joe Navarro.
Well, maybe I should read it.
Get it? I'm telling you, man. I got it, man. I got it for him for Christmas, man. Like I say. And I know you are a poker player.
Yes, I am. I like playing poker.
Then you would like his book on reading people at poker. He wrote a book with a world-champion poker player. They went over like all the aspects of what people do when they're bluffing and if they're holding. You know, it goes pretty deep.
Well, then I'll have to take it slow and read it. But I think that, with Thomas Bruce, he kind of blurs some lines with the FBI's description of what serial killers do. I mean, they categorize it in organized, disorganized, were the bodies hid in plain sight, were they left where they were murdered, were they covered up, were they taken to a wooded area and hidden, or whatever. And then it's a subjective the way they set up profiles. And there are some things that are the same in every profile. Like something bad happened or a life-changing incident happened, and they may have painted their car, colored their hair, shaved their head. All the same things. You can almost duplicate what they said post Evansdale murders. I'm not sure they had time with the Catholic supply store, but the same warnings. There's probably not a threat to the community. Well, when you say that, you're inferring that it's not somebody that lives down the road. It's somebody that's from far away who wound up in our community and committed a murder.
You know what? I will put it to you like this. Let's say I'm the FBI and I'm looking at this. Well, we can't trace that to the person, but we do have matches to other crimes. Now, you got Mary Pryor, you have Van Pace. We know those two right there were already in that system to be matched to, and Delphi, Indiana. So, hold on. Let me just see. I'm reading this question here. 1 second. Oh, Jesus H, man. Okay, you know what? Keep an eye on Andrew. Really, man, because that right there is just thrown in probably to upset me. And I'm telling you right now, I do not play that game for a minute. Don't have to go create a new account. Don't. Because that is coming next. That I assure you. Throw up another stupid comment. Get daring. I'm quoting.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Yeah, it was just a question, right? Yeah, that's the question that everybody knows. Upsets me right there. Why would they do that, pal? Huh? Oh, hang on. I felt myself getting a little upset. I will calm down. They wouldn't, Andrew. Now, carry on.
I'm scared to ask what that question was, and maybe you can just tell me another time.
That's what it was. And
Okay.
I'm tired of it. I tire quickly. So back to where you was.
Well, Thomas Bruce is the only one that fits 95% of the evidence.
95%?
Well,
You know what?
that is not me saying that I'm only 95% there.
No.
The
But
only thing, and I believe law enforcement has it,
that I believe.
We can't show that he was in Delphi. We can show that he was probably in Delphi.
Cannot show. No. But I can certainly show the evidence that shows to the contrary that he had been there, that he had been there many times, that he could have came in contact with that, same as he did in Evansdale, and went there purposely that day to commit that crime on the reverse date, because that does stand to reason as to what it was I was showing. And I agree. I cannot say, although I can, and I do stand on that.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have video of him being in Delphi. I have his audio of him being in Delphi. Got something to say about that? Because
and you're 100% right.
And when they come forth and say it's Thomas Bruce, then there you have it. It was already stated. Yes, that is Thomas Bruce. There is nobody else running around that fits that. No one. It's Thomas J. Bruce.
This one serial killer has effectively rained terror on a community, on a state, on families, his own included, because in all probability, they are victims almost to the degree that the families of Abby and Libby are. He is the one that made the conscious choice, whether it was a hard choice or whether it was an insurmountable pressure from the evil side of him to go out and kill someone, and it happened to be 2 young women from Delphi. And I don't, and maybe that's where he gets off on it. I don't know. That he will always forever be known as the guy who killed 2 girls in Delphi.
And Evansdale. And the old lady in Lennon. And Pates just outside of Montrose. I mean, I think that it's going to unravel into quite a amount of murder, rape and murder. I think that we are scratching the surface right now. I don't think that, I mean, we're kind of lost, like she was saying, like 95% of the evidence. Well, we can't show via like GPS or anything. Yes, he was in Delphi. If I could, everybody would say, ha, he did that. He knows who did it. Well, I can't. However, I've already surmised the fact that he did know the Mona on High Bridge Trail. He knew it was a small community, same as Evansdale. He knew it was traveled, but not heavily. He knew that he could go there and that a person that he would select to be a victim, not to me, there was going to be like somebody, if there was behind him, way behind him. It was already pre-scouted out. So yes, it was him. It absolutely was him. And time will tell. Time will tell. But what I get tired of is not answering questions. I love to answer questions, man. I'll answer questions all night long. That does not bother me. It's the same question. Everybody that shows up's got the same question. They know just the way to do it. They know how. That bothers me.
Well, I was just saying, can you hear me now?
Hang on. Actually, I'm tiring. I'm still tiring. Yes, I hear you just fine. But I'm tiring of this question that still remains. It still remains. And I'll do a whole video on it. And you know what people will ask me? Do you want to take a guess on what the hell they're going to ask me? That question again. For the bad die!
Michael,
What
I was explaining before I got disconnected again, I don't know why,
It's fine. It allowed me to ramble.
is all the terror that this man, I mean, look at one serial killer, and he has impacted his family,
Get rid of it.
the family of both Libby and Abby, a community. He's cost the state of Indiana taxpayers, I am going to guess, millions of dollars investigating these murders. He has cost the state of Missouri not so much millions of dollars because they caught him quickly, but before he dies, one way or the other, he has had a financial impact, an emotional impact, and he's left a reign of terror. And I firmly believe that you don't rehabilitate a serial killer.
Yeah, I don't
That
think
part of them is always going to come out. And I'm hoping, I just hope at the end of this that the prosecutor has enough gumption, strength, belief.
testicular fortitude.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a nice way to put it. I'll remember that. To go forward and ask for the death penalty, then I hope that a jury and a judge can do the same. That's a lot of variables.
If I was the FBI, and I'm not yet, but let's say I am the FBI for a minute.
For the fun of it?
For the fun of it, let's just go there. What I would do is I would wrap all these cases into one big trial. Now, in doing that, that way they could all be handled at one time federally. I would say for this case, and this case, life. For this case, life without parole. This case, being that it's federal, not state, that would also include Evansdale, capital murder. And you will face the death penalty if convicted on those two, or either of those two, by the federal government. Now, that would be a way that they could do that, make it federal, and still at the same time give him death, even in a state where the death penalty is off the table, because it's a federal, not a state crime. Could
Well,
that
and the beauty of that is it's more efficient. You will have a team of prosecutors that will come out, put the facts forward, and those cases go faster in the federal system.
Yeah.
And the death penalty is implemented faster. If you remember Timothy McVeigh,
I do.
He was executed. What was
Quickly.
it?
Very quickly.
Much faster.
In fact, what they did, they tried and executed him in, what was it, 6 years, maybe 7?
Yeah, I think it was right around that time.
It's like right in that area because it was 2001 or 2 when they executed him. And that right there was down in Terre Haute, Indiana. That was at the Supermax, the federal Supermax.
And one of the things, federal prosecutors don't mess around. They get to it, they get it done, and get it out of there, and get whatever appeals are going to be. And I think the prisoner realizes pretty quick that once you are convicted in a federal capital murder case, it's going to come faster. And the state, for whatever reason, our states have gotten there's too many lawyers. I think there's 1.5 million lawyers in the United States, and they're smart people usually, and they invent ways through state courts to appeal longer.
Yeah.
And those appeals take more time. And then once you're through the state courts, you can appeal through the federal courts, and it takes much longer. Prosecuting that case in a federal court, those boys mean business. They don't mess around. They just go to it, get it done, and get out. Well, there goes.
And again, if you're trying it federally, and all these cases are rolled into one with differing punishments per, okay, let's say he wins these or is found not guilty of these. Fair enough. He don't get anything for those. These right here, life without parole. Not that it matters. He's going to already be doing life without parole. But on these 2 or these 3, death. Now, that applies for all 3. It's the same as Marion County. They go in, they hit you with theft. Well, okay, he wasn't stealing. We're going to maintain the theft, but we're also going to say he was trying to steal and add that. That way they have 2 cases on you, and they know that they'll win one where they're going to hit you with the punishment. Same applies.
Exactly. And it's all a legal strategy.
Yes.
I mean, but there's a prosecutor here in Colorado, and his name is Dan May. He's from Colorado Springs. And, those people down there, it's about 40 miles from here, I think. They prosecuted Patrick Frazee for murder and disposing of a body. The girlfriend's body was never found. They tried a case that's the hardest case to try, and that is one where the body is never recovered. There's another one that came up in Colorado Springs in January where a stepmom killed her stepson, and the body was recovered in Florida.
Yes, we are. We're taking questions.
And these, I would venture to guess that Dan May, the prosecutor down in Colorado Springs, is by far one of the greatest prosecutors I've ever watched. Did I lose you?
No, I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm quiet.
He gets to it.
Now I think we lost you. We did. I think you're going to need to come back, Miss Cav.
He gets to it. He doesn't choose. There are sometimes cases enforcement goes in and tries it, and he wins. He wins.
Okay,
and it's a no. He not fancy. He just does it, and I really hope that Carroll County has a prosecutor that will at least start it. But I have a feeling that the feds will step in and bundle this.
We lost you again. So yes, that is kind of the hope that I carry because look, otherwise they're going to have to roll through this by time, probably starting with California and then to Michigan, then down to Missouri, Iowa, Indiana, and that takes out Susan Collins in Tennessee if that plays in. And I think that there's going to be a host of murders within this. Miss Cav, we can't hear you. And not back yet. Try coming back in again, if you can hear me. Okay, while she refreshes, I don't know if anybody remembers going back like a month or so ago when I got that rat, the domestic rat to throw in with the wild rat. It was unfortunate because the wild rat, my pardon for not checking up front, had balls, and so that led to a like really bad fight. And anyway, I did end up buying a. Hello, Miss Cav. We still cannot hear you. You might need to come back in again. So anyway, I bought a domestic female and threw in there with the wild rat. And today I hear little cheeps, coming out. So yeah, I guess what? I got the double dominant, the coloration. Those babies will be domestic and they will all look like a wild rat. Wild colored domestic rats. That's where the money's at, people. And that's exactly where King Cat puts his money in his corporation, Michael Leroy Stroh, LLC. It's all about wild colored domestic rats with me. Okay, Ms. Cav, are you back? So, wild colored domestic rats. Oh, that's something that I got going on. Also, I have a baby raccoon. Different story than the last time. It was in the chicken hut. There was 2 of them in there, little babies, need hand raised. The one is eating dog food, wet dog food. But other than that, if anybody that lives local to me that wants to hand raise a coon, give me a call. I got one for you. I'm doing what I can for it. Don't want it to die. Don't want to be a dude that has to kill a cuddly little. They look so cuddly. God, they're just so adorable until you reach in there and realize that they want to taste human flesh. Then it changes that story up dramatically. All right. If somebody had a question, throw it up now, and I will get right to it in the immediate. Ms. Cav, we'll be back in just a moment. It means that it's very liberal in banning people. So if somebody tries to be a wise, they get the boot. Don't be a wise guy. If you got a question, throw it up. I'll get to it. If it's that question, tread lightly. I'm over it. Most people know that already. Yeah, I love rats. I do. I really, really do. I mean, they're social animals, and I'm not trying to deviate off the crime, but they are social animals. They're very intelligent. They're smart. They got everything that a person would want in a pet, aside of one thing. They don't live long. I mean, if you've had a rat for 2 years, it is an old rat ready to die. Ms. Cav, you're back, and this time we can hear you.
Okay, I want to apologize to everyone that's listening.
Rats are.
And
no problem.
I'm going to promise that I'm not coming back until I have a new iPhone. I may have to just buy one outright, but this is rude for everybody to have to listen to.
Well, we've done very well. In fact, it's went better than what I thought it would. So, you're good to go. And, it always cuts out while you're saying something. So please continue where you left off. If you remember where you were.
Let me say one thing. When I went to Apple today, they don't have any iPhone 11s, I guess. And do you know why?
Why?
Where do you think they assemble iPhones?
China?
Yes.
Right?
And guess who's not shipping them right now? China.
Oh, well, it's probably because the global pandemic we're under with viral cancer that eats people's minds alive. We got to create a global economy meltdown because of it. Shit like that. But I'm not sidetracking on that. Hey, CM Champ, look, man, if you ask that question again, I cannot guarantee that you're going to be around long. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't.
I don't play around with that. And when people come on here, I take them to be very to the left of the IQ margin, meaning under 100. So don't go there. And if you do again, you'll be gone. You can make a different account. You can come back because I will not be happy until I have 1,000,000 thumbs down. When I have 1,000,000 thumbs down, I'll go, yes. You know what? All those trolls, I give them this, they work together.
Well, and the fact that you've done so well during this podcast, not to even use the F word, I don't think.
I don't even believe that I have. Not once.
Okay. I think you're doing really good, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. That's who
welcome.
I am.
But when, next week I will have a new phone one way or the other. It doesn't matter at this point. And I'll figure out why it has done this. And it could be an app that I have on this phone that, by the way, folks, goes out and gathers everybody's GPS that goes by me or anywhere near me. And it's all shot out to Long Beach, California, and they figure out who you are. I don't know, but they do. And it gets everyone. And that's what I'm doing right now, is tracking GPSs, sort of. And that might be
please ban WK John. Kind of knew up front he was MC. Send him on. And allow me to answer into his little statement there. Let's state the obvious. You only have a channel because of Thomas Bruce being the suspect. Well, let's really look at this. Actually, I don't have a channel on behalf of that. I had a channel before he became a suspect. Do you know how many subscribers I had on that channel? Allow me to tell you. 8,600 people on that channel. The reason I have this channel is because it left off on my old channel, WK John, MC, dude making another account to come back under. And I already know your other names because I knew you from other channels. Get a grip, dude. And if you have nothing better to do, I can go masturbate.
That's getting close.
Yeah, he probably is.
Okay. Well, how long do you think it's going to take for the deal to be wrapped up to prosecute Thomas Bruce?
It's already done.
I think they're still working on it.
Well, they've had 1.5 years. How long do you think that they need to make a case?
I don't.
How long do you think it takes all of this task force to create a case? I say it was done a long time ago. There are certain pieces that they want to put into play that they will get once they get down there to talk to him via a warrant. But until that time, the case is wrapped up. And I'm going to throw it out in Doug Carter's own words. We have every piece to the puzzle. We have all pieces to the puzzle. What we're missing is who did it, because they know. And in so knowing, they put that case together, and I believe they have it in spades.
I think they may have most, but I think they're trying to negotiate with Thomas Bruce's lawyer now to go in and talk to him, because they are going to want to be pretty certain that they have all of the murders.
Beverly, I know who you are. In a good way, I know who Beverly is.
She's Boston, isn't she?
No.
I thought she was.
Oh, wait. No, she's from a city south of me. Is this not correct, Bev? Mm-hmm. Because I think that, well, aside of that, do you not live in a city south of me? Maybe I'm thinking of another Beverly. There's a lot of Beverlys that call me. I don't know, man. Beverly's, you know. Okay, well, anyways, do you want to wrap this up at shortly after 9? We can take a couple questions. Miss Kath?
Well, I do think that they're trying to find all of the crimes, or as many as possible, that Thomas Bruce has committed. He didn't start out with Delphi. He didn't start out with Evansdale. He didn't. He ended with Catholic
Okay.
Supply. But
No, you're right.
I think out in California,
She can't hear me.
me?
Oh, you can. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No,
don't
you
dare
were
say
right.
anything bad about me because I can hear.
Beverly is from South Boston. She's that Beverly. My apologies, Bev. I was thinking you was a Bev that lived down by Indianapolis. And my apologies. Are you the same lady that sent me the stuff concerning what TB was wearing? Are you that
I
lady?
bet she is.
Oh, that would be cool. That'd be just great if she was here. I was talking about you earlier. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Brian.
Well, I
I'm
think they're
sorry.
trying to
I do
get
have to go beat him
everything.
soon. Wolf looks forward to me coming home. Speaking of my kingly wins at chess.
I think they're trying to get everything inclusive on Thomas Bruce during this time before his trial. And I don't think it's going to be held in October unless the deal is done. And
Well,
then there may not be a trial.
and again, the only thing that they could be missing, the only thing, period, is the DNA. Now they have suspect DNA, and they got a match between him and that DNA. But if they got to process TB's DNA in the state of Indiana, they can get that via warrant when they go talk to him, and we'll already have that in place. Aside of that, what else do they need? I mean, they'll have everything.
No,
They
they're going to
fundamentally
need.
have every single thing that they need to go forward with this murder trial right now. Nothing else.
I think they're going to need as much as they can have.
But
when they
what are
go
they
in and
missing? I mean, my
no.
point is, what is it that they're missing? DNA?
No. I'm saying this wrong. They're going to need every crime that he has committed
Yeah.
because they're going to roll that up in a ball and they're going to let it roll over him and make him understand that this is it. Life as he knew it was over. He's probably lost his family. He's sure as heck has lost his wife because she filed for divorce. And she filed that in February of this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So she waited quite a length of time to do that. And he has responded to her divorce complaint. And you can't read it on the St. Louis or the Missouri court case files. They don't have the pages copied in there. And I think that he is going to be overwhelmed by it, and we'll see what kind of guy he is. If he's willing to say, own up to it, yep, I did it, and that's all there is, or if he's willing to give them what they don't have, which may be murders all over the place as much as he's traveled. You and I have mentioned this before. He's been in the UK, he's been in China, he's been to the Philippines, he's been everywhere. I mean, I think he went to South Africa. And there may be bodies there that no one even knows about.
Well, you know what? Let's look at other serial killers, man. And I can name a few. They, when they were convicted, they only got them on a handful of the ones that they honestly committed. Are they going to go as deep as to look for everything on earth, or are they going to nail him on the ones that they can absolutely prove?
Oh, I think they'll nail him on the ones that they can prove.
And with that in mind, I believe that they have those cases pretty well summed up. And I think that that is what they're going to do. I think they'll nail him for Evansdale, Delphi, Mary Pryor and Ann Pates, where they have DNA and fingerprints. Those are wrapped up. They will be there. I think that there is more in California that will be easy, same as Missouri. I think that they're going to have an amount. And like I said, man, we're just hitting on the ones that we know of. There are ones out there that are unknown to us, that are fully known to law enforcement of the FBI and the places local to where that they had did that. So I believe that they're going to have it pretty well summed up. That's just me, though. If there's any more questions, throw them up now, and we'll get right to them immediately. If not, I'm going to be signing off here in a minute as soon as Miss Cab makes her way back. Again, man, I look like a kind of a cuttlefish, man. Don't you want to cuddle me? Don't you want to just, ain't you just taken in by my shirt? All right. But anyway, enough of that. Let's see. They may. Because that's what I was looking at right there. Okay, Miss Cav, can you hear me?
I can.
Miss Cav. Okay. Let's kind of wrap this up. And is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Yes, buy an Android.
Me?
No, whoever's getting a cell phone, buy an Android. Do not
Buy an Android.
Buy an iPhone. Do not buy an iPhone. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, then I'll watch my language because it was about ready to turn very colorful.
What?
And I'd like both of us to make it through a video without using a cuss word.
I have not.
You have not?
I don't think I did I?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty proud of you, in fact.
Well, I hate to be that person, but all right.
Okay.
Let's say that tonight I am that person. Well, crap. All right. You know what? I will wait for her to get back before I totally sign off. But I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Everybody, if you was viewing this program, this is on you, man, because you make the wheels turn here. It's you. Because other than that, I'm just repeating myself for the last year and a half now. So when she gets back, we'll be out of here. I want to thank all mods, everybody, Incognito, Crime Sleuth. Did not see Sue on here tonight. Alaska Blue, who rocks so totally. She's here every week. In fact, when she isn't here immediately, I begin to worry. Start to get a little shaky about life. So, thanks to everybody that was on here. And I will see you guys next week at this time. But I do have another video that I am making. Keep your eyes out for that. That should be out this week. And it will talk about the signatures. And that will be the sole discussion of that video. Do not miss it. In fact, if you're not subbed, sub now. If you did not like, you're no friend of mine. Hit that, man. I got time. Go. It's right down below here. Hit the little thumbs up for me. It might take a second. 3 seconds. Thank you. You guys rock. So is there anything else? All right. Well, Miss Cav is back. Miss Cav, you're back.
Buy Android.
Buy an Android. Thanks, Beverly. And thanks, Miss Cav, for being a part of this tonight, because you have helped me very greatly in the last so many months. And it's been a while now that we've been in there looking at this. And all together, including with Incognito Society, I think we've done a very well job at it. And I think it holds up very solid, in my opinion.
And again, I apologize for my cell phone, probably Verizon and darn sure for Apple, because I'm just beyond words. And everybody stay well, be well, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, don't catch the invisible scare. It's killing people. It's killing people, and it's causing a worldwide shutdown. And there's people out there wearing masks. They have no understanding that that's called Sharia law for one and all. I get it, and I hope you do too. Thanks for being here, everyone. And I will see you next Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Peace.